There's a shocking and growing body of evidence that Hamas used extreme sexual violence against women throughout its attacks on October the 7th. UN Women has been strongly criticised for taking 57 days to condemn those atrocities. Why did it take them so long to say something? Why have we, so many in the feminist movement, why have they sided with Palestine, a culture where women's rights barely exist? Well, these are important questions. Joining me now is Chief Foreign Correspondent, Sunday Times, Christina Lamb, the host of Tomi Lahren, his fearless and outkick, Tomi Lahren, and author and journalist, Judith Levine. Well, thank you, all of you. Christina, let me start with you. You wrote this gut-wrenching piece of journalism on Sunday. It really moved me almost to tears, actually, reading the detail of what you'd unearthed about the barbaric rapes and sexual attacks on women on October the 7th. Just summarise really your findings.
Yeah, I mean, we should warn viewers that it's horrific, but basically I talked to a lot of people, but in particular I talked to survivors of the Supernova Music Festival, which was one of the places that was attacked by Hamas on October the 7th. And some of those people told me about witnessing girls being raped, gang raped, and one man in particular who hid under the body of a woman that was shot and then was for hours trying to get out of there. He saw a number of girls being raped, but he told me in particular about one who was raped by about 10 Hamas fighters. And she was just begging them to kill her, actually, because it was just so horrific what they were doing. And he said that she had the face of an angel and that he wakes every night now to see that face.
And they did in the end kill her, I think,
yes,
in that case.
Did. They shot her.
It was incredibly disturbing, as has been some of the reaction to all these revelations. You know, normally you would see the feminist movement around the world rallying as one to speak out about this. And yet we're seeing a lot of silence. We're seeing a lot of female congresswomen in America going out of their way not to condemn what happened, to try and deflect. It's been a very bizarre reaction. What do you make of that?
No, absolutely. I think this has all got mixed up in the politics of it. And, you know, whatever you think, I mean, I personally think you can it's completely compatible to be horrified by what Israel is doing in Gaza in terms of the number of civilians that are being killed, and be horrified at what happened on October the 7th. And it was very strange that feminist groups, the UN, others around the world did not speak about it because, you know, there was really, right from the beginning, on the actual day, Hamas was live streaming videos which made clear
they were doing it in plain sight and boasting gleefully about what they were doing. But UN Women, I mean, if they can't speak out sooner than 57 days on the systematic rape and abuse and murder of women, what's their purpose?
I mean, the one thing I would say, having covered this a lot in different conflicts, it does often take a long time to come out. And that's because, you know, this is such a difficult thing for people to come out and speak about. As we all know, rape is the one crime where the victim is often made to feel that they did something wrong. So it's hard for people to talk about it, the horrific things that have happened. And in this case, people will say, well, where are the victims, right? And we know victims have actually come forward and spoken.
Yes.
Now, that may be because they were all killed or taken hostage, or it may be that there are some.
And the State Department in America was saying today they believe a lot of the female hostages who've not been released are being sexually assaulted
I'm
and
afraid,
raped.
you know, I'm sad to say, I think that is happening. I spoke to the mother of a 23-year-old who was taken hostage at that festival, and she's, you know, absolutely tearing herself apart thinking, I mean, she says, I have to not think about that.
It's horrific.
But,
horrific. Let me bring in Tomi and Judith here. So, Tomi, what is going on here? Why are so many female so-called progressives simply finding it impossible to come out and scream from the rooftops about the systematic rape and sexual abuse of women by Hamas?
Well, Piers, it's because the modern-day feminist movement is a farce and it's a joke. They don't stand up for women, Israeli women who are brutally raped and tortured. They don't stand up for women's sports, the integrity of our sports and our spaces. They don't stand up for anything beyond unfettered abortions. The modern-day feminist movement is not the feminist movement that was created to empower women, to protect women, to guide women. Now it's about abortion, and that's about it. And I wish that weren't the case. The UN is also worthless. Why we in the United States continue to fund that body is beyond me. But it's also quite disgusting to watch American politicians play the mental gymnastics around what happened on October 7th and try to then repeatedly turn it back on Israel as if Israeli soldiers are indiscriminately raping those in Palestine and in Gaza, which we know is not the case. So what this is evil. It's blatant anti-Semitism, and it needs to be called out forcefully and at every turn. Feminism is a joke, the UN is a joke, and unfortunately, a lot of our American politicians also a joke, Piers.
OK, Judith, your response to that?
Well, as a Jewish American feminist, I would argue with the idea that American feminists are not deploring or Jews or even people, as Christina said, who are deploring what Israel is doing in Palestine, also speak about the atrocities that Hamas has committed against Jewish people in Israel and elsewhere, and against their own people as well. So it is completely consistent to look at both of these things happening, and also to say that as many activists and people with long experience on both sides of the walls have said that neither the Palestinians nor the Jews in Israel or anybody else in Israel will have security unless there is peace and unless there is justice in Palestine. These are people, the Jews are not going anywhere, the Palestinians are not going anywhere, only some kind of political solution is possible. And I would remind Tommy that the feminists are really the people who speak about rape. We're the only people really who speak constantly about rape. What happened, I think probably what happened, as Christina said, in the UN is that everything moves really slowly at the UN. The UN gathers information, then they have to have some sort of consensus on what they put out. And so I don't know that there was some sort of, conspiracy against Jews in not publishing what happened. And also, those particular horrific acts came out later.
Yeah, I think we all knew, though, from day one, a lot of rape had occurred because it was being boasted about by the people doing the raping, and that's the key difference. I also think with the UN women, had Hamas used the wrong personal pronouns that day, they'd have been straight on it on Twitter, because that's unfortunately what they seem to be seeing as one of their priorities, and I find that ridiculous. But anyway, thank you to my panel, greatly appreciate it. Christina, what an amazing piece of journalism at the weekend. Honestly, one of the most powerful things I've read in a long time. You do incredible work.
Thank you.
Even though it was incredibly distressing, it's so important. So thank you.